Alright, imagine this like the opening voiceover of a late-night entertainment documentary. Lights dim, music slowly rising, camera sweeping across stadiums, backstage hallways, and quiet hotel rooms after the cheers fade. When people talk about BTS, they often talk about power, records, perfection, and impossible discipline. But tonight, we're peeling back something far more human. Tears. Not weakness, not drama, but emotional honesty. In 2025, after everything BTS has lived through global fame, military chapters, separation, reunions, personal growth, crying isn't something to hide anymore. It's a language, a release, a mirror. So the real question isn't who cries the most? The real question is why these tears matter. Are they tears of pressure finally escaping? Tears of gratitude after surviving storms no one else can see? Tears that only fall when the camera is off? Or tears that come without warning, live on stage, in front of millions? And why do fans feel closer, not uncomfortable, when these moments happen? Tonight's list is not about mocking, judging, or ranking pain. No cut. Zero. This is about emotional transparency, about how each member processes feelings differently, and how that shapes the way we see them. Some cry quietly, shoulders shaking, hiding behind hands. Some cry openly, laughing and crying at the same time, not even trying to stop it. Some hold it in for years, until one sentence, one memory, one song cracks everything open. In 2025, BTS are no longer rookies trying to prove themselves. They are artists who have nothing left to fake. And that makes every tear heavier, more meaningful, more honest. Think about it. How many times have you cried not because you were weak, but because you cared too much? How many times did emotion hit harder when success was already achieved? That's the space BTS are standing in now. This countdown isn't here to shock you with who cries the most, but to make you reflect on how vulnerability can exist even at the very top of the world. As we count down from number 7 to number 1, ask yourself this. Whose tears feel the most familiar to you? Whose emotions mirror your own way of surviving life? And are tears really a sign of breaking or proof that the heart is still fully alive? Stay with me, because once we start, each name on this list will make you see BTS not just as idols, but as real humans navigating fame, love, pressure, and growth in real time. This is top 7 BTS members who cry the most in 2025. No cut. Just truth. Number 7, Sunshine with Silent Tears, Jhope. On the surface, Jhope is the light, the laughter starter, the energy battery of BTS. He's the one people instinctively look at when they need mood lifting, jokes, dance power, or that contagious, everything will be okay vibe. But in 2025, fans who have watched closely know something important. Jhope doesn't cry often, but when he does, it hits differently. His tears don't come from chaos. They come from depth, from responsibility, from holding the emotional balance of 7 people for over a decade. Jhope's crying moments are rare, controlled, almost shy, yet incredibly heavy because they usually arrive after he has endured something quietly for a long time. Back in earlier years, Hobi was known for smiling through everything, even stress. He once admitted that he felt pressure to always be the happy one, the member who couldn't afford to fall apart because others leaned on his energy. That habit followed him into adulthood. Even in 2025, after military service and personal growth, Jhope still tends to process emotions internally before letting them surface. When tears finally appear, it's usually in moments of reflection rather than breakdown, talking about BTS's journey, thanking fans, or realizing how far they've come. His crying is often mixed with laughter, that familiar I smile trembling as his voice cracks, as if he's embarrassed by how real the moment suddenly becomes. There's something incredibly human about that. He doesn't sob loudly. He wipes his eyes quickly. He tries to regain control. But that very restraint makes fans emotional because it shows how much he's been carrying alone. In 2025 interviews and behind-the-scenes content, Jhope has spoken more openly about fear. Fear of letting people down, fear of losing momentum, fear of not being strong enough for the team. Those fears don't explode into tears easily. They simmer. And when they finally spill, it's often during moments of gratitude. When he talks about ARMY supporting him even when BTS was on hiatus. When he reflects on standing on stage again after time apart. When he realizes that the boy who once dreamed in Gwangju actually made it, without losing his heart. J-Hope's tears feel like quiet rain after a long drought. Not dramatic, not frequent, but deeply nourishing. That's why he sits at number 7. Not because he cries the least emotionally, but because he cries the most privately. His vulnerability is subtle, controlled, and powerful in its own way. In a group filled with openly expressive hearts, J-Hope reminds us that sometimes the strongest emotions belong to those who smile the longest before finally allowing themselves to feel. Number 6. The oldest heart. Hidden vulnerability. Jin is often framed as the emotional shield of BTS. The eldest. The one who jokes first, deflects tension with humor, and makes sure everyone eats, laughs, and breathes a little easier. But that image only tells half the story. In 2025, Jin's tears feel heavier than ever. Not because he cries often, but because when he does, you can feel years of restraint finally loosening. Jin belongs to a generation, both personally and culturally, where emotional strength often meant endurance. He learned early how to stand tall, how to protect younger members, how to turn pain into comedy so no one else had to feel uncomfortable. That habit became part of his identity. So when Jin cries, it's never casual. It's never accidental. It's always meaningful. His tears come from moments where responsibility collides with honesty. In recent years, Jin has spoken more openly about pressure, being the oldest in a group that exploded globally, feeling the need to stay composed even when he felt uncertain, and carrying expectations that fans rarely see. His crying moments usually happen during reflective conversations, talking about time passing, about watching the younger members grow into leaders themselves, about realizing that his role is no longer just young, but also an individual artist learning who he is beyond the group dynamic. In 2025, post-military life added another emotional layer. Jin returned not just older, but more introspective. When he talks about missing BTS during separation, his voice softens. When he mentions ARMY waiting, his eyes glass over before he quickly laughs it off. That laugh is important. It's Jin's defense mechanism. He uses humor as a bridge, so emotions don't overwhelm the room. But fans can see through it now. They notice the pauses, the deep breaths, the way his eyes linger just a second too long before he cracks a joke. Jin's tears often come from gratitude mixed with regret. Gratitude for love that never faded, regret for moments he couldn't protect everyone perfectly. He once implied that as the eldest, he felt guilty when members struggled, even if it wasn't his fault. That quiet sense of responsibility still lives in him. And when it surfaces gently, respectfully, almost apologetically. His crying never demands attention. It asks for understanding. That's why Jin sits at number 6. Not because he's emotionally distant, but because his vulnerability is wrapped in maturity. His tears aren't loud storms, they're deep currents. And in 2025, those rare moments when Jin allows himself to cry remind fans that strength doesn't mean never breaking. It means knowing when it's safe to finally let go. Number 5, Quiet Storm, Truth in Tears, Suga. Suga is the kind of person people misunderstand if they only look at the surface. Calm, reserved, sharp-tongued when necessary, emotionally controlled. For years, many assumed he was the least likely to cry. But in 2025, fans know better. Suga doesn't cry often, but when he does, it feels like the ground shifts. His tears are not impulsive. They are accumulated. Years of thoughts, pain, healing, reflection, and brutal honesty packed into a few silent moments where his guard finally drops. Unlike members who express emotion easily, Suga's relationship with crying is deeply tied to self-awareness. He has always been honest about mental health, burnout, depression, fear of stagnation, and the weight of expectations. Long before it became common in idol culture, Suga spoke about dark thoughts not to seek sympathy, but to normalize reality. That's why his tears feel raw. They're not staged, not performative. They happen when words fail him. In 2025, after military service and time apart from BTS activities, Suga returned noticeably softer, not weaker, but clearer. He speaks slower. He listens more. And when emotion hits, it's usually during deep conversations about identity, music, or survival. His crying moments often happen when he reflects on his younger self, the underground rapper who doubted everything, the trainee who almost quit, the artist who wondered if success would fix emptiness. When those memories resurface, his eyes change first. The sarcasm fades. The jokes stop. And suddenly, there's silence. That silence is where Suga's tears live. He rarely sobs. He doesn't cover his face dramatically. Tears just appear, quietly, as if his body finally releases what his mind has been carrying too long. In 2025 content, fans noticed how Suga reacts when talking about BTS's longevity. He becomes emotional not because of fame, but because of survival, 7 people staying together through pressure that breaks most groups. He has admitted that he once thought the group wouldn't last, not because of lack of love, but because life is unpredictable. That honesty still shakes him. His tears often come with a small nod, like he's acknowledging his own truth. Another trigger for Suga's crying is gratitude, especially toward ARMY. Not loud gratitude, but reflective gratitude. He cries when he realizes people listened, when he understands that his most vulnerable lyrics reached someone who needed them. That kind of impact overwhelms him because Suga writes from wounds, not fantasies. In 2025, his tears feel less painful and more healing. They're not about drowning anymore, they're about having survived. That's why Suga lands at number 5. He may not cry often, but his tears carry weight. They feel like chapters closing, scars breathing, and an artist finally allowing himself to feel proud without guilt. Number 4. The Thinker Who Breaks, RM. RM's tears don't come from impulse. They come from thought, from overthinking, reflection, responsibility, and the crushing awareness of meaning. As the leader of BTS, RM has always stood at the intersection of intellect and emotion, logic and vulnerability. In 2025, his crying moments feel deeper, heavier, and more philosophical than ever, because they're tied to questions most people avoid asking themselves. Who am I without expectations? What does leadership cost? How do you grow without leaving parts of yourself behind? RM has cried on camera before, but never carelessly. His tears usually arrive after long pauses, after carefully chosen words, after his voice begins to slow as if his mind is searching for the right sentence, but his heart interrupts first. Being the leader means he rarely allows himself to collapse freely. For years, he carried the weight of translating not just language, but emotions between BTS and the world, between Korean identity and global fame, between personal doubt and public confidence. In 2025, that weight hasn't disappeared, it has simply evolved. RM cries when he reflects on responsibility. He cries when he talks about mistakes he believes he made as a leader, even when no one else blames him. He cries when he realizes how young they all were when everything began, and how little guidance existed for something so unprecedented. His tears are often accompanied by self-questioning, not self-pity. That's what makes them intense. RM doesn't cry because he feels weak. He cries because he understands too much. In recent interviews and behind-the-scenes moments, fans have noticed that RM becomes emotional when discussing growth, outgrowing old versions of himself, shedding anger, learning how to rest without guilt. He has admitted that for a long time, he believed suffering was necessary for greatness. Letting go of that belief wasn't easy. Crying became part of that unlearning. In 2025, RM's tears often appear when he talks about art, about writing lyrics that no longer come from desperation, but from clarity, about fearing that peace might make him less interesting, less sharp, less worthy. Those fears are quiet, but powerful. When they surface, his eyes fill slowly, as if his emotions are negotiating with his logic before finally winning. RM also cries when talking about the members, not in a sentimental way, but in a grounded, almost parental way. He has said that BTS taught him how to lead by listening, not commanding. That realization hits him hard because it reframes everything he thought leadership meant. His tears in those moments feel like relief. Relief that he didn't fail them. Relief that they grew together rather than apart. That's why RM sits at number 4. He doesn't cry the most visibly, but when he does, it feels like watching a mind unravel and rebuild itself in real time. His tears are thoughtful, heavy, and transformative. Proof that intelligence doesn't protect you from emotion. It simply gives your emotions more layers. Number 3. The soul that feels too much, Taehyung. Taehyung's tears are never a surprise. And yet, they always feel shocking. Because when V cries, it's not just emotion, it's atmosphere, mood, energy, a shift in the room that everyone feels immediately. In 2025, Taehyung stands as one of the most emotionally transparent members of BTS, not because he tries to be vulnerable, but because he simply doesn't know how to fake distance from his feelings. He feels everything deeply, instinctively, and without apology. His crying moments are often spontaneous, triggered by memories, music, people, or even silence. Taehyung has always lived emotionally close to the surface. From early debut days, fans noticed how openly he expressed sadness, loneliness, joy, and affection. Unlike others who learned to compartmentalize emotions as a survival skill, Taehyung never fully built that wall. In 2025, that hasn't changed. If anything, it's become more refined. His tears are no longer confused. They're intentional, honest, and deeply reflective. He cries when he talks about loss, friends he's lost, moments he can't return to, versions of himself that grew up too fast. He cries when he talks about love, not just romantic love, but human connection. Taehyung has admitted that he struggles with feeling misunderstood, even when surrounded by people who love him. That contradiction lives in him constantly. And when words fail to explain it, tears step in naturally. What makes Taehyung's crying so powerful in 2025 is how unashamed it is. He doesn't hide his face. He doesn't rush to stop it. He lets the moment breathe. Sometimes he smiles through tears. Sometimes he stares into space, letting emotion wash over him like a wave. Fans often say his crying feels cinematic, but that's not because it's dramatic. It's because it's sincere. Taehyung experiences emotion like art. Music, especially, unlocks him. Certain songs, especially those tied to BTS's early struggles or personal memories, can make him tear up instantly. In behind-the-scenes footage, he's often the first to get emotional during speeches, anniversaries, or member reflections. Not because he's fragile, but because he's present. Fully. He allows himself to feel the weight of the moment instead of pushing it aside. In 2025, Taehyung's tears also reflect growth. He cries less from confusion and more from understanding. He knows now that sensitivity is not a flaw. It's his strength. He's spoken about learning to protect his heart without closing it, a difficult balance for someone who loves deeply. When he cries now, it feels like release rather than collapse. That's why Taehyung lands at number 3. His tears are frequent, visible, and emotionally rich. They don't ask permission. They don't wait for privacy. They simply happen, reminding everyone watching that feeling deeply is not something to be ashamed of, it's something to be honored. Number 2, the golden heart under pressure, Jungkook. Jungkook's tears in 2025 feel different from before. Not louder, not weaker, just heavier. Because they come from a place of immense pressure mixed with genuine, childlike sincerity that never fully left him, even as he grew into one of the biggest global stars on the planet. Jungkook has always been emotionally honest, but unlike Taehyung's expressive openness, Jungkook's crying is often conflicted. He tries to hold it back. He looks away. He bites his lips. He blinks fast, hoping the feeling will pass. And when it doesn't, the tears fall anyway. That struggle is what makes his crying so powerful. Jungkook grew up in BTS. Literally. He entered the group as a teenager and learned adulthood under cameras, expectations, and endless comparisons. In 2025, that history shows in his emotional reactions. His tears often come from self-reflection, questioning whether he's doing enough, whether he deserves the love he receives, whether he's living up to the image people have of him. He's known for being perfectionistic, and that perfectionism becomes emotional weight. When he cries, it's rarely about one moment. It's about everything stacking up at once. Jungkook cries when he feels he disappointed someone, even slightly. He cries when he thinks about the members who raised him, protected him, and shaped him. He cries when he realizes how much time has passed and how quickly life moved. In 2025 content, fans noticed that Jungkook becomes emotional when talking about responsibility, not just to BTS, but to ARMY. He takes that bond seriously, almost sacredly. When he speaks about fans waiting, supporting, believing in him through every phase, his voice often cracks before he can finish his sentence. Those tears come from gratitude mixed with fear, the fear of failing people who love him unconditionally. Jungkook's crying is also deeply tied to identity. As a solo artist and a group member, he sometimes struggles to separate who he is from who the world wants him to be. In 2025, he's more self-aware, more articulate, but also more exposed. Crying becomes his way of grounding himself, of reminding himself that he's still human beneath the spotlight. Unlike earlier years, Jungkook no longer looks embarrassed when he cries. He still tries to hide it, but when it happens, he lets it happen. That acceptance marks growth. His tears are often quiet, but frequent, especially during emotional speeches, anniversaries, or moments of reflection. That's why Jungkook stands at number 2. His crying is not dramatic, but it's consistent, sincere, and deeply relatable. It reflects the weight of growing up too fast, loving too deeply, and caring too much in a world that never stops watching. Number 1. The softest heart, love overflowing, Jimin. Jimin at number 1 doesn't shock anyone who has truly watched BTS with their heart open. In 2025, Jimin remains the member whose tears appear most naturally, most frequently, and most honestly, not because he is weak, but because he is emotionally fearless. Jimin feels first, thinks later, and hides almost nothing when it comes to emotion. His tears are immediate reactions of the heart, not delayed conclusions of the mind. And that is exactly why they feel so powerful. Jimin has always been deeply empathetic. He absorbs the emotions of the room like a sponge. If a member is hurting, Jimin feels it. If ARMY is emotional, Jimin mirrors it. If a moment is meaningful, it overwhelms him instantly. In 2025, after everything BTS has endured, separation, reunions, individual journeys, Jimin's emotional sensitivity hasn't faded. It has matured. He still cries easily, but now his tears carry wisdom, gratitude, and self-awareness. Jimin cries when he talks about love. He cries when he talks about fear. He cries when he talks about gratitude. And sometimes, he cries without words at all. His crying is rarely about himself alone. It's usually about connection to the members, to fans, to memories that shaped him. He has admitted multiple times that he struggles with self-doubt, even at the peak of success. That inner conflict makes his emotions fragile and intense at the same time. In 2025, Jimin's tears often appear during speeches, anniversaries, or quiet behind-the-scenes moments when he reflects on how far BTS has come. His voice trembles quickly. His eyes fill fast. He doesn't fight it. He lets it happen. That authenticity is rare, especially at his level of fame. Jimin's crying also reflects how deeply he loves BTS as a family. When he speaks about the members, his emotions spike instantly. He has said that BTS is his emotional anchor, and the thought of losing that bond terrifies him. That fear, mixed with gratitude, creates emotional overload. And when that overload hits, Jimin cries openly, unapologetically. Fans don't see it as weakness. They see it as trust. Jimin trusts the world enough to show his heart as it is. In 2025, his tears feel less painful and more healing. They're not about breaking. They're about releasing love that's too big to contain. He cries because he cares too much, loves too deeply, and feels too honestly. That's why Jimin stands at number 1. His tears are the most frequent, the most visible, and the most emotionally resonant. They remind everyone watching that vulnerability is not something to grow out of, it's something to grow into. And in a world that often rewards emotional distance, Jimin remains brave enough to cry, and that courage is exactly what makes his heart unforgettable.